What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Dermy Wormy, and I was alerted that this is a thing that exists. TYT, the Young Turks, for those of you who don't know, they are a Politico company that primarily is very left, very, very left. Well, because the Ray movie has become such a cultural issue, a culture war phenomenon, an issue in which so many people are coming out and actually talking about it, discussing it, doing stuff with it. You know, you have people pointing out her own words where she talks about how she loves making men uncomfortable. She loves it, and that's the only way you can do change is make men uncomfortable. Where she talks about how she's an activist first and a filmmaker second, where she does not outright do filmography or anything like that. You see, you know, points like that. She cares more about talking about activism. You know, I've pointed out how these people feign outrage right now in regards to why we are talking about, hey, she's not good for the role, where she's an activist first. Her filmography is non-existent and everything. You know, it's really just a bunch of documentaries and then 2 episodes of Miss Marvel that had to be recreated, by the way. Yes, that is her whole history. Everything else is a documentary. Even if it's an animated documentary, it is still a documentary. You know, I pointed out the fact that they never screamed about the success of Patty Jenkins being picked to direct a Star Wars movie and then subsequently fired. They never talked about that. They never discussed that. They never did anything with that. Oh, look, a woman being cast to direct a Star Wars movie. She's now fired. They also failed to recognize that Kathleen Kennedy has been in charge of Lucasfilm ever since 2012 and has had her hands basically throughout all of Star Wars. You know that. You know, I pointed out that. I pointed out this guy who went on some rant calling us all sexist and misogynist. Well, the Young Turks had an entire clip. Now, they were trying to dunk on Fox News, and let me say, every point that Fox News said, even though I don't think they are bright, I think they are really stupid, and I thought that a lot of the politicos that are getting involved in this we're just getting involved with it because it's it's in vogue right now to dunk on Disney and not be a part of Disney. But some of the things they pointed out were the fact that she said, okay, she said she likes making men uncomfortable. She enjoys going against men. She enjoys attacking men. Everything like that, you know, pointing out that she's a documentarian. She's going to be in charge of Star Wars. Star Wars is predominantly a male brand. For those that you out there, yes, Star Wars is predominantly a male brand. That doesn't mean women can't enjoy it, but predominantly men and boys are going to go watch those movies and interact with those movies. Those are the things they were pointing out. One of the ladies said, well, that's why she's more of a Trekkie, even though they clipped her out of context, and I don't even know what her context is. Let's be real fair here and real honest. When it comes to Fox News and most of these politicos, they honestly don't understand culture or anything like that. But what makes it worse is this video of the Young Turks is some of the most cringe, some of the most idiotic, and some of the most stupidest comments I've ever heard. And I outright don't know. I had to make a video on this because, yes, I have jumped so far ahead. You know, they start off pointing out what she said, Fox and their responses and everything. They do a whole talk about just Star Trek because one of the Fox hosts said that she likes Star Trek. So there will be a moment of Star Trek here. So I'm not going to tackle that on because I'm not a Trekkie myself. But I have to show you the idiocy that goes on here. And again, I'm literally 4 minutes in because this is how long it took them to actually start talking about it outside the news. But let's see what they had to say.
Are you uncomfortable? How mad are you?
Well, I mean, there's a woman directing it, so by definition, it must be terrible. I mean, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, but I have decided that ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
Okay, because there's a woman doing it, that means it must be terrible. Okay, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. But I've decided that ahead of time. No, what we were pointing out is literally words she has said from the past about how she does things, how she's an activist first, and her filmography. But okay, you know, boil it down to here. This is another thing. Instead of tackling the actual arguments head on, they always have to go to you just hate women.
How could a woman direct a movie and have it not suck? They say with a straight face. Okay, so let's break down how stupid they are in every way. So number one, when she said, oh, that's why I'm a Trekkie. I'm like, oh, okay, so you're not a Trekkie. You don't know anything about Star Trek.
Well, okay, I'm going to tackle this beforehand because I see this all the time in regards to Star Trek, Doctor Who, Star Wars even, is they start saying, well, in the past, they allowed for, representation and equality and everything like that. And Gene Roddenberry and all these guys used to be super woke. No, what they did was they introduced human elements. They began dealing with actual equality and everything like that, and they did it within a creative manner. They did it with showing good storytelling, good characterizations, and at the same time, they always presented both sides of an argument, and they usually allowed you to try to come up with your own way of doing it. They made you think. That was the point of it all. We're dealing with hyper advanced civilizations that have you start thinking, okay, what am I looking here? How am I doing this? Are we right? Are we wrong? Whatever. Gene Roddenberry had his own bias. Okay, yes, he was more left and everything like that. But when it comes down to a lot of the stuff, he still at least tried to show the other side of the argument. Okay, but they always like to disregard that little fact and say he was woke.
Because Gene Roddenberry was the original Hollywood liberal, okay, along with Norman Lear. And if anyone was woke, it was Gene
Roddenberry was the original Hollywood liberal. I'm pretty sure there's tons of liberals just besides Gene Roddenberry.
Gene Roddenberry. Okay, he tried in every way to bring those wonderful ideas of diversity and equality to the American culture through television. Oops, you would have hated him. Okay.
No. The reason they say we would have hated him is because they think that we're against, actual equality, actual diversity. No, these people are against actual diversity and actual equality. What they fail to recognize is a lot of stuff coming out of Hollywood, even in sci-fi fields, whether it's Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, is just propaganda. Overt propaganda that doesn't actually let you think or do anything. It's you must be on this side or you're a bad person. On top of that, it's a bunch of just bad storytelling all around. They don't know how to do good stories. They don't know how to do anything. They only know how to be activists and put their own ideology first. But, again, these are politicos and they don't actually think about stuff like that. They just have to get on board the current culture war and say our talking words and buzzwords and call everybody else on the other side stupid instead of actually tackling the arguments.
Okay, so number two. They didn't find that clip of hers from 8 years ago, like ahead of time. No one knew about that clip. The minute she was picked, they hated her because.
No, the minute that she was picked, now we're getting into chins. Okay, now we're getting into Charmaine Chin Girl, leader of frickin' the activist bent. The reason these clips are coming up is because she said them and we are researching who is she? What has she done? What's her past like? Well, her past is a bunch of documentaries in which she is doing a valid thing. She is talking about the actual issues that go on in Pakistan in regards to women. But then what's her fiction, stuff? What has she done in fiction? Nothing? Nothing at all. Oh, wait, 2 episodes of Miss Marvel that had to get reshot. Okay. And she was handpicked by Kathleen Kennedy. Okay. See, you start wondering what's going on here. That's why these words and these clips that are going around are important, because they start showing people, hey, she said this in the past. She's talked about how she wants her activism at the forefront of everything. How there's always going to be activism there. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's overt. And she was picked to do a Star Wars movie? That doesn't make sense.
She's a woman and a woman of color. They went looking for a clip.
Oh, that's why, because we're going back to the argument, guys. We're going back to the argument. You just hate her because you're racist and sexist.
So here we go again, character assassination, right? Dig. Then they find this clip of her saying that she's making men uncomfortable who do acid attacks on women in Pakistan.
But also she's bringing that here. She also said in all of her work, she adds this stuff. In all of her work, her activism is front and forward, okay? This is how they have to do. They have to cut out her things and make it look good. Bad on us, good on them, instead of actually showing her real words. I have shown you her words. I have shown you her filmography. I have shown her your past. Yes, these are clips from 8 years ago, but at the same time, again, the only 2 things she has done in fiction were 2 episodes of Miss Marvel that never got seen and also had to get reshot. That's not good.
Apparently, Fox News is okay with that. They're like, acid attacks on women awesome. I can't believe she's making them feel uncomfortable, right? Oh, they didn't tell you that part. Why? Because they're liars. Okay, they're making it seem like she's doing Star Wars, and you heard the clip. And she's doing Star Wars to make men uncomfortable.
But that is her words. Those are her words. Okay, I can continue this on. I outright can. I can start going forward because then they start talking about, oh, it's actually a patriarchy over in Pakistan. You guys are stupid. But yet they're doing it again. They did it with the last clip I showed you. They're doing it with this clip. All the people that are, calling us all this stuff right now, all they can do is instead of tackling the arguments, tackling the clips, doing everything, they have to recontextualize everything and then start moving the ball a different way. That's what they do. That's what they don't have to do because they know when you actually start tackling these arguments head on, they can't win. They can't. There's no win scenario for them. They will continue this on. And before, this dude here that I have on, he starts talking about, this is actual patriarchal society. This is actual patriarchy. I'm going to jump forward because it's just so stupid. But I want to get you the last moment. I want to get to the moment that I just had to start laughing because it was so idiotic.
Producers or the actors, they've never made women uncomfortable.
Just to talk about that feeling though, how do you see film? If being uncomfortable is something you immediately oppose, I think that's one of the joys of watching and enjoying film as an art.
That's the point. They don't get this. They don't understand Star Wars. They don't understand some of these movies or anything like that. Nobody watched Star Wars to be uncomfortable. You watch Star Wars to get transported to an alternate world. Star Wars is a science fiction fantasy sort of thing. It is something completely different than most normal science fiction. It is an enjoyable thing. It is something to escape from the reality. Nobody watched Star Wars to be uncomfortable. That is one of the stupidest comments ever. But yet, this is how they have to do this. This is how they do it. Well, you all watch films to be uncomfortable. You all do this to be uncomfortable. Who doesn't watch films to be uncomfortable? I don't watch I never watched Star Trek when I'm not even a fan of Star Trek, but I never watched Star Trek to be uncomfortable. I watched it to be, thought-provoking, make me think something different. I never watched Star Wars to be uncomfortable. I watched it because I wanted to see whether it's Luke Skywalker or my personal hero. And I know I'm a Zoomer. I grew up with the prequels. Anakin. I wanted to see Anakin be a badass. I want to see Luke Skywalker be a badass. I want to see all these amazing characters be badasses, save the day, be heroes. That's why I wanted to watch this. I never wanted it to be uncomfortable. I never wanted to watch The Lord of the Rings to be uncomfortable. I never wanted to watch the experience of a lifetime, Lord of the Rings, to sit there and go like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable. Oh Lord, no. These guys fundamentally misunderstand the whole point of escapism. They misunderstand the whole point of watching something to enjoy it, to have a fun time, to do anything. And the simple fact of, have you never how can you like film if you don't want to be uncomfortable? Why would I want to be uncomfortable when I'm wanting to sit down and have a good time? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't logically compute. But this is the fact. At the end of the day, this is the fact. Whether it's that soy guy I talked about earlier, whether it's TYT, even Fox News. I'm throwing Fox News and most of the politicos out there. They don't understand culture. They don't understand how to influence culture. And then when it comes to the people that are screaming right now, outright, when it comes to the people screaming and shouting right now that we are bad people, we are just sexist and bigots because we don't like what Chins is doing and what her past is and how she's not capable for the job, how her filmography does not basically line up to her being given Star Wars. She's not fit for the role. She legitimately isn't. We're just sexist and bigots, and they know we're right. They know we're right, so they have to start changing the argument to make themselves look good. But in reality, the argument is still her filmography doesn't exist. She's an activist first, and she's not fit for Star Wars. That's what it boils down to. You never saw them complaining about frickin' Patty Jenkins. You never saw them complaining when Patty Jenkins got fired. You always see them somehow forgetting the fact that Kathleen Kennedy's been there since 2012. Okay, she's been in charge since 2012. They always forget those little facts, but they always have to now point to, you're the sexist and the bigot for not liking this. But hey. That's how stupid they are. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me get you guys' thoughts on all this down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it out, friends, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell for every time I put out a new video and go live. And I'll see you guys all on the next one. Bye for now.